Welcome back. We're still speaking with the Honorable Minister of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Madam Jumoke, in the building. So I would like to ask a question, which is, what specific initiatives are you taking to ensure that the manufacturing industry specifically is being put in a position where it's easy for Nigerian manufacturers to thrive? And I know that while we're doing that, we're also looking at bringing foreign investment into the country. And most of the time when those investment comes in, they come in with their own products, their own packaging, their own systems to operate in Nigeria, which puts our local manufacturers at a disadvantage trying to compete with foreign products. So what specific things are you working on or doing to ensure that our manufacturers do not give up and pack up their businesses to doing something else?
Okay, so we engaged a lot with the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. In fact, we have a council with industrialists in particular from the ministry. And one of the main things that I've been discussing with them in the last couple of weeks is the cost of capital. So I was with the CBN governor just about 2 days ago, our teams brainstorming on how we can work on bringing down the cost of capital. It's not an easy one. It's in private sector hands. Actually, it's in the hands of the banking, financial sector. But what are the things that we can do as a government to enable the reduction in cost of capital? We also work a lot with them in enabling their regulatory space. Sometimes they have challenges on packaging, on standards. We discuss a lot about that. We've talked about the free zones this year, working on the policies, adjusting that. It feeds into what's in the tax bill also. They're quite happy about the tax initiatives in the overhaul from the fiscal reforms that have been going on across this administration. So there are different levels of interventions and policies targeted at manufacturers in Nigeria. We've talked about trade facilitation. We're encouraging them to use Nigeria as a hub for exports, so how they move their goods out of the country, also the inputs that they need for their productivity, how those inputs are adjusted in terms of the tariffs. We've had some discussions around the fact that some of the tariffs for finished goods are less than the tariffs for inputs, and that affects their manufacturing competitiveness and productivity. So we're reviewing the tariff structure and how to adjust for that. So it's about paying attention to their specific needs. They know where the shoe is pinching, and it's an ongoing conversation. So these are some of the policies currently in formation for that particular demographic.
Yeah. Ma'am, I don't know if I missed it, but are there any partnerships between your ministry and financial institutions to make access to funding, more accessible and affordable for SMSEs?
So we continue to encourage that dialogue. You know that the Bank of Industry is a supporter of MSMEs, a number of interventions, and that is one of the agencies under the ministry. But businesses also have to be ready, have to meet the requirements. The Bank of Industry is also regulated by the central bank. So those are some of the interventions in place for them. This administration has also given some credit opportunities for consumer credit, and so that galvanizes demand for MSMEs. But we focus on making sure that they're more competitive. SMETA does a lot of work in supporting small and medium-sized enterprises and making them more competitive, more productive. So it's a whole ecosystem. The Nexim Bank has disbursed about 110 billion to about 93 export-led MSMEs. So that conversation and that productivity, that intervention continues to be in place. I keep harping on exports because we need those much needed foreign exchange to come into the economy. It's also a way to grow the businesses to scale. You talked about packaging. There are packaging businesses that are manufacturing in Nigeria. Of course, packaging is a thing that adds to cost. If you're importing packaging that is priced in foreign currency, then you know that is passed on to the consumer. And you've heard Mr. President say about a month ago, buy Nigeria, Nigeria first. So also encouraging manufacturers to gather together, group together, and to encourage local productivity, buying locally, procuring locally, starting from government as well. So these are some of the interventions that continue to be ongoing for that demographic.
Yes. So, like in line with what she said, we already know that you cannot work or act in isolation. You need collaborations with other agencies. So, can you also tell us about more collaborations that the ministry is doing with other government agencies, the private sectors, and even international partners to promote industrial growth and trade? Yes. Can you expatiate on that?
Oh yeah, gladly. So it's quite a big ministry. We have about 19 or 20 agencies in the bouquet on the family of the FMITI. But I'll start with the tripod of collaborating with the fiscal function, that's the Federal Ministry of Finance, and the monetary function, which is the central bank. When you add the trade, that makes the third pillar of the tripod. And so that's really the configuration of the economy. Then you go on to several. I said that this ministry is an enabler. We support the Ministry of Health with their PIVAC project. We support the Ministry of Education with their TVET.
Wow.
All manner of ministries. Agriculture, we work very closely with the Ministry of Agriculture because the agro exports is directly in tandem with the productivity from basically from farm to export. And so we also have a number of agencies that we have to collaborate with, very strong collaboration with Nigerian Customs Service, Nigerian Immigration Service, with NAFDAC. These are agencies that are outside of the ministry, but within the ministry, there's the Standards Organization of Nigeria, there's the Bank of Industry, Corporate Affairs Commission, a whole bouquet. And we work together as one team. That is how we can deliver for the Nigerian economy.
Okay, so my question is regarding the president's agenda. So the goal is to make the economy a $1 trillion, trillion dollar economy. The target is huge. The average business owner in Nigeria feels like it's an ambitious goal because the drive to achieve the renewed hope, according to the papers today, said the renewed hope agenda is being implemented, but the Nigerian people feel like it's hurting them more than benefiting them. So I would like you to help us understand how your ministry is going to be supporting that agenda. What are the gaps you currently see? Because I don't think that, from what you've mentioned, there's a lot of other inter-ministry related that you have to cooperate to be effective. You need to work with many other ministries. How do we understand the goal and what can we do to plug into that goal? Another thing I'll add to that is many Nigerians are looking at the policy and looking at what businesses they can plug into that will benefit from it, because policies shift policies affect some businesses, and some would grow and some would die out. So what would you advise would be the key areas that Nigerian entrepreneurs can look into that will, if they put their money into it, would bring them profits in a way that would also work with the government to achieve their goals? So those two questions.
Okay, so the first thing I would say is that for a business, any particularly small business, because you've made the point that you want to speak to the average Nigerian, wanting to go into a sector, or for instance, wanting to go into exporting for the first time, the first thing is to know the sector, know the regulators, just chronicle out. And so, for instance, with the flag off, that with the negotiated rate with Air Uganda, it's not only the rates that are regulated. The air cargo handling charges, the regulatory charges are also visibly and transparently displayed so that an exporter would know what they're going to pay from end to end. And so knowing the regulatory landscape in Nigeria and the regulatory landscape in whatever other country, and knowing the cost involved is the first thing, transparency. And then making sure that you plug into an organized private sector, NASIMA, MAN, NASMI. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to make mistakes that others have made already. So plugging in will give you the knowledge, will give you the support that you need to be a manufacturer or to grow in this economy and even to export. And so others have done it and been able to scale beforehand. So when businesses act alone, sometimes they go through pains that they don't need to. So that collaboration, that grouping together, like the businesses coming together, were able to negotiate the flat rate. It used to be about $7, I think, per kilo, and now it's like $1.20 per kilo to ship the goods. So you can imagine the savings that those businesses will be making. In terms of collaboration for businesses, for government officials, I mean, that's the cornerstone of an effective governance structure. For many years now, with PEBEC, I've had to collaborate with over 50 federal government agencies, all state governments, the National Assembly, the judiciary, and the private sector. And so you have to communicate and build trust and get information and share information and listen to each other. So we're a very listening government, non-defensive. Like when businesses tell me, and I engage a lot with businesses across all sizes and sectors, and when they tell us their pain points, we look into them. We can't boil the ocean, we can't do everything at the same time, so we prioritize with them what is most important. So the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment announced in January the outlook for the year, what we'll be working on for 2025, and so we're measuring ourselves also through the Central Coordinating Delivery Unit and Mr. President's delivery dashboard, and seeing what it is we're going to achieve. So we know where we are. This is Q2, second month ending in Q2, and we know where we want to be by the end of the year. How do we measure what we've done? So for instance, with agro exports, if we take sesame, trying to support sesame, cowpea, how they're going into markets, engaging with the markets that they're going into, like a lot of sesame is exported to Japan, to China. We want to make sure there are no rejects. So as a government, how we collaborate, but that's to make sure that goods that are not properly processed don't make it out of the country and don't get rejected, or to make sure that, that's why I said we work with the Ministry of Agriculture, we work with the Ministry of Finance, we work with the Ministry of Health, and the agencies under them, and that's how to collaborate to deliver for the Nigerian economy.
Ooh,
Thank you so
I'm
much.
listening to you. I mean, I'm just saying there's just so much on your plate. But what would you say
I'm
is
a
like
lecturer, so I talk a lot, right?
Okay. Like, what would you say is your most proud achievement? And then what are you hoping your legacy will be, you know, as Minister of the...
My current most prized achievement, because I'm one that moves on very quickly, would be Sunday and Monday's delivery. The cargo corridor that has just opened up is a game changer for Nigerian exporters, particularly MSMEs. And we're not stopping with airlines. We know that now that Uganda Air has done it, Air Peace will wonder, where were we? Ethiopian Air will wonder, how did I miss that? AWA will be like, how can I get the goods to Ghana? So we know that what Nigeria has done has really moved things for Africa. And then the market intelligence tool, not leaving businesses alone, telling them that in 13 different countries in Eastern and Southern Africa, this is where your goods are in demand. So you don't have to do trial and error. And then I think the Digital Coke Championship that this administration, Mr. President, was named and commended at the African Union in February. That is a sector that speaks to Nigerian youth. It's where Nigerian youth are competitive. We also have NATEP, the program that speaks to National Talent Exports Program, so that Nigerian youth can stay at home and with their devices and connectivity have international jobs, and not just low-paying jobs, competitive, productive jobs. You know, our software engineers are really in demand across the world. Our graphics designers, paralegals, accountants.
Thank you. You have so many. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We appreciate your input and the work that you're doing. God bless you. We've been speaking with the Honorable Minister of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Uduwole. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope to have you from time to time to come and tell us what you're doing in that ministry. We'd like to know as Nigerians.
Interview you just to know you.
That's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, we're going to be celebrating our 12 years anniversary. Stay
on the
with
show.
us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.